Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a woman walk through fire and not get burned? She walks with her head high, back straight, no one by her side, yet somehow she never falls. Let me share something that many won't tell you. The woman who walks alone is often the most watched, the most challenged, and yet the most protected. If you're that woman or you know one like her, stay with me. Because by the time we finish, you'll understand walking alone isn't your weakness, it's your greatest power. A woman walking alone isn't lost. She's being guided. There's a difference between being isolated and being directed. And most people don't get that. When a woman is pulled away from the crowd, when she finds herself walking a road no one else is on, it doesn't mean she's broken. It doesn't mean she's behind. It means she's being called into something deeper. Something that demands separation. Something sacred. Society teaches us that being surrounded means you've made it. That the more followers you have, the more valuable you are. But the truth? The most powerful women in history, the ones who changed their lives and the lives of others, had a season where they walked alone. And that season wasn't a punishment. It was a process, a divine process of becoming. You don't grow in the crowd. You don't find clarity in chaos. You don't build resilience in comfort. Growth is born in stillness. In quiet, when there's no one to applaud you and no one to lean on, that's when you hear the whisper that says, keep going, I'm with you. People may call it loneliness. They'll say you're cold, distant, maybe even too strong. But what they don't see is the transformation taking place. They don't see the fire being kindled inside of you. When a woman walks alone, she's not rejecting the world. She's being prepared for her place in it. She's letting go of the need for validation. She's learning how to stand so steady in who she is that nothing can shake her. That kind of strength, it's not easy. It comes through tears, through nights that feel endless, through battles no one knows about. It comes through choosing yourself when it hurts, saying no when your heart wants to say yes just to avoid the ache of being alone. It comes from deep, honest soul work. Looking at who you are, no titles, no crowd, no distractions, and still deciding that you are enough. There are days when doubt creeps in, when your steps feel heavy and your heart even heavier. You'll look around and wonder, why am I always walking this path alone? Why does no one stand with me? But in those moments, if you listen carefully, you'll hear something louder than pain. A voice that says, you're not alone. Trust the journey. That path you're on, though quiet, though uphill, though unclear, is taking you exactly where you're meant to go. It's leading you into a version of yourself that's unshakable, into a life that no one else could build for you because it was made just for your steps. And there's something special about a woman who walks alone. She walks with more intention. She feels her way through instead of rushing to keep up. And in that stillness, she uncovers truth. She learns she doesn't have to be everything for everyone. She just has to be honest with herself. That's where the shift happens. She stops looking for directions, stops chasing love, stops performing for applause. She begins trusting that quiet pull inside her. She starts seeing that every silent season was never meant to break her. It was meant to shape her. One layer at a time, she becomes powerful in the most graceful way. Not because she's loud, but because she's grounded. Not because she demands attention, but because she's rooted in purpose. She doesn't need to shout to be heard. Her energy speaks before her lips do. And that kind of energy, it's forged in solitude. The world doesn't rush to praise a woman like her. She doesn't fit in a box. She doesn't follow the crowd. She walks different, talks different, moves with something you can't explain. But even the world eventually has to notice. Because a woman walking in divine purpose can't be ignored forever. Make no mistake, she's not walking alone because she's weak. She's walking alone because she's strong enough to. Because she knows that her path was never meant for a crowd. It's narrow, it's sacred, it's chosen. So if you're in that place right now, where it feels like no one understands your journey, don't pull back. Don't try to blend in just to feel less alone. Keep moving forward. Keep walking. You're not wandering, you're being led. Every quiet step, every delay, every unanswered question, it all serves a purpose. The woman who walks alone is not lost. She's aligned. And what waits at the end of that path? It's not just achievement. It's not just restoration. It's transformation. The becoming of a woman who's met herself fully, who's been through the fire and came out refined. The strongest women aren't in the middle of every crowd. They don't need noise to feel seen. They don't need company to feel full. While others chase validation, she finds peace within. While others crave attention, she chooses purpose. Her strength isn't measured by how many people surround her, but by how steadily she walks alone. Anyone can follow the group, anyone can hide in noise, but it takes rare courage to step away and say, I'm okay by myself. I don't need to be praised, I don't need to be noticed to keep going. That strength, it's built in quiet places. It's formed when no one is looking, when no one is clapping, and you have to be your own encouragement. A powerful woman doesn't walk with the crowd because her soul wasn't made for average. She's not interested in popularity. She's focused on alignment. Alignment with her truth, her calling, her spirit. And walking in that kind of truth will always cost something. Often it costs people. Because when you stop living for their approval, they stop clapping. That's okay. That's where your real growth begins. It's where she starts choosing herself, not out of pride, but out of purpose. She knows that peace is more valuable than popularity. That not every hand you hold is meant to walk you into your future. So she releases, she steps back, and that stepping back, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that your light isn't for everyone. That shrinking yourself to fit broken places only delays what was always meant for you. So she stops explaining. She stops begging to be seen. She becomes okay with being misunderstood. Because she knows what she carries isn't always explainable. The crowd may whisper. They may mock or misjudge. They may ask, who does she think she is? But she doesn't respond. She doesn't argue. She doesn't try to prove herself in rooms she's already grown beyond. Because real strength doesn't scream. It rises quietly, gracefully, with purpose. She's walked through storms that others couldn't survive. She's cried silent tears the world will never witness. And still, she rises every morning, every step, not because it's easy, but because quitting isn't in her nature. She's different. She's walked through fire and came out with armor made of wisdom. When she speaks, she doesn't speak to impress. She speaks to lift, to shift, to awaken. Her words carry weight. Her silence carries depth. She doesn't have to prove she's powerful. It's already clear. What they call stubborn, she calls standards. What they call isolation, she calls insight. What they call arrogance, she calls self-worth. She doesn't follow the rules, she creates her own. And that unsettles people who need the crowd to feel complete. But here's the truth. They envy her, even if they won't admit it. They envy her posture, her quiet strength, her calm presence. They envy the way she enters a room and owns it without saying a word. They envy her boundaries, her focus, her peace. They wish they could walk away from the noise too. But they don't have her courage. She made peace with silence a long time ago. The strongest women aren't the loudest. They're the ones who choose solitude when the crowd no longer fits. They're the ones who stay honest with themselves even when it costs comfort and praise. They keep building, keep evolving, keep rising, silently, faithfully, powerful. So if that's you, or if you're becoming her, don't apologize for not fitting in. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't chase those who can't see your worth. Keep walking boldly, keep speaking truthfully, keep standing tall, even in empty rooms. Because the strongest woman in any room isn't the one surrounded, it's the one who stands strong on her own, the one who doesn't flinch when others lead, the one who walks with dignity even when no one notices. That kind of strength, it's rare, it's real, and it can't be stopped. There's a silence that's louder than any noise. A woman who walks alone learns this early. She doesn't have to tell the world her pain. She doesn't have to broadcast her journey. She moves quietly, but her presence roars. Her steps may echo through stillness, but those steps carry purpose. Battles fought and won in secret. When you walk alone, you're made to confront yourself. You come face to face with every fear, every flaw, every buried wound. There's no one to distract you, no one to blame. Just you, the stillness, and the truth. And in that sacred space, something rare begins to form. You develop a sharper clarity, your instincts grow stronger, you stop depending on the world to tell you who you are, and start tuning in to the gentle voice within. Most people avoid that space. They run from it. They drown their lives in noise, in people, in chaos, anything to avoid being alone. But the woman who walks alone chooses that space. She embraces it because she knows silence isn't empty. It's full of wisdom. She understands solitude doesn't weaken her. It shapes her. She doesn't scream for help every time she falls. She learns how to rise quietly without an audience, how to wipe her tears and keep moving without a single hand to hold. That strength, it can't be taught. It's built. It's formed in quiet hours when no one's watching. When quitting is an option, but she keeps going. She moves through heartbreak without hardening. She moves through betrayal without seeking revenge. She walks through isolation without settling for less. That's what makes her different. Her silence isn't weakness. It's awareness. It's the power of discipline, the strength to hold back, to protect her peace, and to stay grounded when the world tries to shake her. You'll notice she doesn't talk much about herself. And that's because she knows something most people overlook. Not everyone deserves access to her journey. Not everyone needs to know what fuels her passion. She's not trying to prove herself to those determined to misjudge her. She speaks when it's meaningful. And when she does, people listen. The woman who walks alone is intentional. She's focused. She's watching, absorbing, learning. Her silence is not absence. It's movement. It's preparation. It's healing. It's growth. And when she reappears, she doesn't come back the same. She returns stronger, wiser, and more refined. This is the kind of woman that unsettles people, not because she's loud, but because she's steady. Not because she's forceful, but because she's unshaken. She doesn't act out of emotion. She responds with thought. People can't figure her out because she's not chasing attention. She's anchored in purpose. Her silence guards her energy. It filters out the noise, the nonsense, the unnecessary. She doesn't enter every battle. She doesn't argue for approval. She doesn't shrink herself to be understood. She lets her life speak. Her actions do the talking. She knows true power doesn't shout, it moves with purpose. People wonder how she remains calm in the storm. The answer is simple. She's found her strength in stillness. She's been through enough to recognize that applause isn't always loyalty. Smiles aren't always sincere. And sometimes the quiet route is the safest one, because in that stillness, she can hear herself clearly. She can think without clutter. She can move with intention. She no longer fears solitude. She welcomes it, because solitude taught her things that company never could. It taught her how to love herself, how to trust herself, how to rely on something deeper than opinions. She realizes now that not everyone is meant to walk her path, and she's at peace with that. She's learned to release without bitterness, to love without attachment, to care without losing her sense of self. The woman who walks alone carries power, not because of what she says, but because of what she holds back. Not because of who stands beside her, but because of who she is when she's by herself. She understands silence is sacred. Walking alone doesn't mean being lost. It means being led by something greater, something within. So if you ever see a woman moving quietly, don't confuse her stillness for being stuck. She's working. She's aligning, she's evolving. And when the time is right, what's been growing in silence will speak loudly. Because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something sacred is being developed beyond sight. And that woman, she will reemerge, not needing applause, not craving approval. She'll return grounded in peace, filled with purpose, and wrapped in the quiet strength she earned on her journey alone. She's not looking to be affirmed by others. She's not chasing claps or compliments. She's not waiting for the world to say she's worthy. She already knows. She doesn't need a spotlight because she understands deeper truths. Real strength doesn't need volume. It stands tall, steady, and sure. There's a confidence you can't fake. It's born from survival, from seasons of silence, rejection, and being overlooked. She's walked that road. She's been ignored, underestimated, pushed to the background. But she didn't break, she rose. Not in a grand way, but with quiet resolve. One step after another. She doesn't beg for entry. She builds her own doors. She doesn't wait to be picked. She claims her place. And when she steps into a room, her presence speaks before she does. It's in her calm, her stance, her peace. She's grounded in her identity. And that changes everything. Once you stop needing validation, you stop shrinking. You stop molding yourself to fit what others expect. You stop trying to explain your worth to those determined not to understand. That's the freedom she found. She stopped performing. She started living in truth. She knows the world applauds the visible, the loud, the shiny, but she's not influenced by that. She's rooted in something timeless. Her value isn't in popularity. It's in her posture when no one is cheering. She isn't bitter. She isn't angry. She's focused. She grew in silence. That's why she doesn't tremble when things fall apart. She knows how to rebuild, how to encourage herself, how to celebrate her wins even when no one's watching. A woman who sees herself doesn't need to be seen to feel whole. That's her strength. And a woman who doesn't chase validation can't be controlled. You can't manipulate her with approval. You can't shake her with rejection. She doesn't live for applause, so silence doesn't destroy her. That's her power. It's not a show. It's solid. It's real. She's done with the games, done with the up and down approval cycle. She found a steadier source herself. That kind of self-belief unsettles people, especially those who rely on others needing them. But she's not living for comfort. She's living for wholeness. And if walking alone is the price for that peace, she'll pay it. She'll walk with her head high. She's not waiting to be picked. She already chose herself. She's not starving for attention. She's given herself the care, the kindness, the dignity she once begged for. And that shift, it changed her. Now she's not hoping to be rescued. She's already restored. Not waiting to be completed, she's already whole. Because she's no longer chasing validation, she can love freely. She can give without expectations. She can walk away peacefully. She supports without needing credit. Her power lives inside, and that's why it can't be taken. You didn't give it to her, so you can't remove it. People won't always get her. They'll call her cold, too strong, too distant, but that won't shake her. She knows peace sometimes looks like space. Growth sometimes looks like solitude. Healing sometimes looks like silence. She's not chasing approval, she's chasing truth. And those who really see her, they don't need explanations. They recognize her energy, her depth, her grace. Those are the ones she keeps, the rest. She releases with no bitterness, just peace. She's not here for validation. She's here for alignment, meaning, fulfillment. And she found it, not in praise, not in presence, but in the quiet knowing of who she is. That's power. Real, rare, unwavering. Because the woman who no longer seeks validation is the woman walking with undeniable strength. It is something solid about a woman who discovered herself through solitude. A woman who walked alone and met her real self. She battled fear, faced doubt, sat in the silence when the cheers disappeared, and found her identity. That woman doesn't just survive, she transforms. People confuse aloneness with brokenness. But sometimes being alone is the only way to become whole. The world's noise makes it easy to perform, to wear a mask, but in solitude, the mask gets heavy. It slips, and what's left is truth, raw, honest, and real. That's where she met herself, in the quiet, in the ache, in the becoming. She didn't just learn how to be alone. She learned how to be complete. how to hold herself when no one else did, how to keep hope alive when her present was filled with storms. That kind of strength isn't born in comfort. It's born in the wilderness, in the stillness, in the stretching phase. And what she found in that place was a power, kind that comes with applause or titles, but a quiet, grounded, unshakable strength. She found a purpose that didn't ask for approval, a voice that didn't seek echoes, a calling that didn't wait for validation. That's what solitude gave her, not loneliness, but clarity. People think healing is beautiful and calm. They imagine finding yourself as some peaceful getaway or mountain revelation. But in truth, it's messy, it's painful, it's isolating. She cried herself to sleep more nights than she could count. She questioned her value. She fought thoughts that whispered she was forgotten, invisible, unloved. But she kept moving, kept standing, kept trusting that all of this had a deeper reason. That belief carried her. It became the fire within her. Because deep down, she knew she wasn't alone. She could sense something greater holding her together while everything else was falling apart. Every time she thought she couldn't keep going, she found strength to rise again. That's the power of purpose. Born in solitude, she walks with that purpose. It shows in her silence, her smile. She's not shaken by every storm now. She's not swayed by opinions of those who don't know her road, because she's survived the kind of breaking that builds you stronger. She's discovered that every ending can be a hidden beginning. She stopped running after people. She stopped seeking approval. She stopped waiting for someone else to complete her. She realized everything she needed was already inside. That realization shifted her world. It gave her vision. It gave her rest. It gave her power to release what no longer belonged. She doesn't beg for loyalty anymore. She doesn't plead to be heard. She no longer explains herself to people who choose not to understand her. Her healing taught her that the courage to love herself enough to walk away, to stand alone, to declare, I am enough, even when the world disagrees. You can't shake a woman like that. You can't scare her with fear. You can't guilt her into silence. She knows her worth, not because someone told her, but because she found it in the fire. She faced rejection and didn't break. She faced silence and discovered her voice. She faced emptiness and filled it with light. Now, when people see her, they see the strength. They see the grace. But they don't see the road she walked, the nights of doubt, the mental battles, the moments she nearly gave up, but didn't. That's what sets her apart. That's her power. She is not who she once was. She's been shaped by solitude, refined by pain, and elevated through quiet strength. She's no longer chasing a dream that wasn't hers. She's creating a life that reflects her truth, one decision at a time, one line drawn at a time. So when you see her walking by herself, don't feel sorry for her. Don't confuse her peace for sadness. Understand this. She's not alone because she has no one. She's alone because she's bold enough to leave what doesn't align with her soul. Because she's brave enough to look inward. Because she's wise enough to know that sometimes growth only happens in silence. A woman like that, you don't meet her by accident. You meet her by alignment. She's not running after love. She's drawing in peace. She's not shouting for attention. She's commanding respect. And she's not afraid of being alone because she knows she's never truly alone. She carries something deep inside, steady, anchored, unshakable. And that kind of power, you can't pretend it. You have to become it. You earn it by walking through your valleys and finding your voice in the hush. When a woman walks on her own, she begins a journey the world may not understand. The world might label her solitude as sadness, as weakness, as failure, but those who've walked it too know otherwise. Solitude is where true strength begins. It's in those quiet moments, just her and her thoughts, her fears, her dreams, her wounds, that she discovers what she's made of. Walking alone doesn't mean being cut off. It means choosing yourself. It means declaring independence. It means learning to stand without needing a crowd. No one fully understands the power of walking alone unless they've done it. People can try to encourage you, offer sympathy, but only those who've walked it get the depth of the transformation. To walk alone is to face your fears without distraction, without leaning on anyone else's opinion. It means trusting your inner voice when the world is noisy. It means believing in yourself when everything around you says you shouldn't. It's a hard path. There will be doubts. There will be moments when you question everything. But that's where the real learning happens. Every step builds resilience. She learns to face failure without falling apart. She learns to handle rejection without letting it break her. The world might knock her down, but she won't stay there. She gets back up, again and again. And in walking alone, she learns the value of stillness. In the stillness, she listens to herself. She processes her journey. She finds answers in the quiet. What does she truly want? What scares her? What is she meant for? These are the questions solitude brings, and the answers shape her future. Walking alone demands courage. It means letting go of people, of patterns, of anything that holds her back. It means stepping onto a different path, even if everyone else is walking the other way. That can be scary. There's pressure to fit in, to do what's expected. But when a woman chooses herself, she makes a statement. She refuses to live small to keep others comfortable. She dares to walk a road that is her own. One of the greatest things she discovers is self-reliance. She no longer needs praise to feel good. She knows her worth isn't defined by anyone else. She trusts her own judgment. She keeps her boundaries. She chases her dreams without hesitation. The longer she walks alone, the more she realizes she has always been her own best support. She is capable, she is powerful, she is whole.